Yo, what up, the Science of Flipping family? This is your host, Justin Colby, and welcome back to another Science of Flipping podcast. What is up? So listen, I am getting a lot of love here in the Science of Flipping Academy group in Facebook. I appreciate you guys. If you haven't yet joined, go over to the group, the Science of Flipping Academy group. Make sure to join. Ask you a couple quick questions and make sure you join the group. Otherwise, if you are watching this a lot on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, and that would be awesome. Anyways, let's jump into this next episode. And this really comes from a place. I had a coaching call this morning with one of my private clients, and I do have two handfuls of private clients. If you're interested in that, send me a direct message somewhere in my social media, and I will get back to you regarding to see if this could be a good fit for you. But what I would say to that is we had a great conversation, as he is someone who does already have some money in his pocket and he has some experience, and he is trying to figure out where he can start to grow. And so there's three levels to this business. You are either launching the business, you are either growing the business, or you are scaling the business. And he's not in scale yet, but he's in a very interesting, fun, and exciting place, which many of you guys are at, which is this growth phase. And where do we want to spend our money to help our business grow? And the first thing that I always will encourage you guys to do is you want to find and outsource and leverage the things you are not good at, or are not exciting, and or are not generating revenue. So one of the big things that we talked about today was bookkeeping. I know it sounds kind of funny, but it is something that as a real estate investor who is currently making money, you need to have. I myself am not a great bookkeeper. I probably could do it if I really had to. However, I have a bookkeeper. We end up paying a lot of money for this bookkeeper, but you don't necessarily have to, depending upon how many businesses and companies you own, etc. So one of the first things that I would make sure, if you are doing deals right now, if you have an LLC, maybe if you have multiple LLCs, maybe an S Corp, you get yourself a bookkeeper. One of the things that we talked about with my client was, what's the difference between that and just an accountant? I have an accountant, he does my accounting, and there is a difference. The idea really is your accountant is trying to figure out where to place your write-offs, right? Your income level is here, your gross revenue level is here, which then after you wash out all expenses, all costs, your income level is here, and where can he or she find you write-offs to take away from your income level? And that is not the only role or even the main role, but primarily for us investors, or at least for the point of this conversation, that is what they're doing. They're taking a look at very top line numbers. They're looking at P&Ls, the expenses on your line item, and they're trying to figure out how to save you some money from having to pay a ton to the IRS. Well, a bookkeeper is a level before that. They are going through your expenses and creating your P&Ls. So if, for example, you invest in education, like a coach or an advisor or a consultant like myself, or you invest into a mastermind, that is a write-off. That is an investment in education. And I don't know the specific write-off, but it is one. Your bookkeeper would line item that expense as education, okay? If you take your client to lunch, there is a percentage of a write-off. They will see, the bookkeeper will see that $35, $40 charge that you took them to some diner or wherever you took them for lunch, probably closer to $40 to $50 nowadays. And they will line that as food, right? And that will go into a certain category because there is a certain level of write-off that you can use for food and entertainment. Now, I'm not an accountant. I am not licensed by any means. You want to have these discussions, but where I'm going with this is, unless you have the background to do so, you really should be hiring a bookkeeper. That is a great place to leverage and pay for someone to do that. Because if you've ever done your own taxes, and I have done this a couple times max, it is a nightmare, an absolute nightmare. And yes, your accountant is good and you want to have an accountant, but you want to have, if you're doing deals and there are expenses and you're buying materials and all this other stuff, you want to also have a bookkeeper as well. And so our conversation was like, hey, you need to stop this. You need to focus on generating revenue because you're spending quite literally working hours to do this segment where you could hire someone to do that, period. And that's what leveraging really is. And so that was one part of our conversation. The other part of our conversation was about like lining up marketing, pulling the list, scrubbing the list, giving the list over to the cold callers, making sure the cold callers, are making the calls, reporting the calls, doing the same thing for direct mail, skip tracing, all of the marketing. There can be someone who handles all of your marketing stuff. A virtual assistant in large part can handle that. Something as simple as sending out your email blast of a wholesale deal if you're a wholesaler. Should you be spending your time creating the flyer and sending that out? No. Now, should you be spending your time answering the phone when a buyer calls in? Yes. In fact, that's in large part a lot of what I do because of the rapport that I already have after doing this for 13 years. I would encourage you to hold on to that as long as possible. As a matter of fact, when we're talking about growing and scaling, I did just bring on what I will have as a disposition specialist who will be taking that over for me because I am that busy that I can't hold that on forever. But again, this is now 13 years in that person is being hired. I would not have you hire an acquisition person. I would not have you hire a disposition person to do any of that because that's where you make your money. So this whole launch, grow, scale, I want it to be done, in my opinion, correctly, where you're not looking to scale in terms of people in your office. I don't want you there yet. Some of you might be there yet, and I encourage you, and I'll be a big champion for you. And if you're there, send me a direct message on Instagram or Facebook. I'll have a conversation with you, see if I can help you scale. But for most of you, you are either in launch or grow mode. And in that case, if you're growing, make sure it's stuff that either you're not good at, you don't understand, it does not generate revenue. If you can focus on that and outsource that, just that component, it doesn't generate revenue. It has to be done. You're not good at it. You don't enjoy it. That's where you start to outsource. Again, it doesn't have to be inside your office. If you have an office, you can absolutely have virtual assistants do these things. A bookkeeper would be a great choice. The other thing I discussed with this individual is because he comes from a background of sales, I said, hey, organization is a really big thing. What kept me organized, because I'm definitely the entrepreneurial monkey brain, shiny object syndrome, creator, visionary. I got, brilliant ideas all over the place, but I got to make sure they execute, right? Hiring a personal assistant to handle kind of a catch-all could be a very big value add to any and all active entrepreneurs who are doing deals, making money. I would really encourage you to look at that as your big investment, right? Because that is an investment that is beyond valuable for me, for someone like me, right? And so that is, what I wanted to kind of make this episode about. Was it stemmed from a conversation I was having with a private client. And really, I think there's a lot of people out there that need to hear this. You're spinning your wheels doing stuff that need to get done, no doubt about it, but doesn't move your needle, needs to get done, doesn't generate revenue, and really is taking your eye off the ball of what you need to be doing, which is creating revenue, getting deals done, right? And so that is where you need to outsource. That's where you need to either find a VA, potentially a virtual assistant, to run those things for you, bookkeeper, accountant. If you don't have an accountant and you're doing deals, in my opinion, you need to change your mindset. Like, this is a control issue now. It's not even just you just doing it. Like, now you have a control, like, let that go. Don't worry about the money, right? My accountant is great, but expensive. Like, it's a great investment because, knock on wood somewhere, I don't even know where, I have yet to get audited, right? 13 years in business, and that hasn't happened because my taxes are aligned. I pay a lot of money. I do the right thing. And that makes a lot of sense, right? And so that's a great investment for me. If you are doing deals, you don't have an accountant, get yourself an accountant, but get yourself a bookkeeper as well. So hopefully this finds you guys well. Hopefully you understand what I'm saying. Leverage the stuff that needs to get done that doesn't produce income. That will help you greatly down the line.